trembling beneath the flashing glance of Nastasia. "Oh, curse it all! What a fool I was to listen to you!" he added with profound melancholy. Nastasia Philipovna, observing his woebegone expression, suddenly burst out laughing. 18,000 roubles for me? Why, you declare yourself a fool at once," she said with impudent familiarity, as she rose from the sofa and prepared to go. Gania watched the whole scene with a sinking of the heart. 40,000 then! 40,000 roubles instead of 18. Ptitsin and another have promised to find me 40,000 roubles by 7 o'clock tonight. 40,000 roubles! Paid down on the nail. The scene was growing more and more disgraceful, but Nastasia Philipovna continued to laugh and did not go away. Nina Alexandrovna and Varia had both risen from their places and were waiting, in silent horror, to see what would happen. Varia's eyes were all ablaze with anger, but the scene had a different effect on Nina Alexandrovna. She paled and trembled, and looked more and more like fainting every moment. "Very well then, 100,000! 100,000 paid this very day. Ptitsin, find it for me. A good share shall stick to your fingers. Come!" "You are mad," said Ptitsin, coming up quickly and seizing him by the hand. "You're drunk. The police will be sent for if you don't look out. Think where you are." "Yes, he's boasting like a drunkard," added Nastasia, as though with the sole intention of goading him. "I do not boast. You shall have 100,000 this very day. Ptitsin, get the money, you gay usurer. Take what you like for it, but get it by the evening. I'll show that I'm in earnest," cried Rogojin, working himself up into a frenzy of excitement. "Come, come, what's all this?" cried General Ivolgin, suddenly and angrily coming close up to Rogojin. The unexpectedness of this sally on the part of the hitherto silent old man caused some laughter among the intruders. "Hullo! What's this now?" laughed Rogojin. "You come along with me, old fellow. You shall have as much to drink as you like." "Oh, it's too horrible!" cried poor Colia, sobbing with shame and annoyance. "Surely there must be someone among all of you here who will turn this shameless creature out of the room," cried Varia suddenly. She was shaking and trembling with rage. "That's me, I suppose. I'm the shameless creature," cried Nastasia Philipovna with amused indifference. "Dear me, and I came, like a fool as I am, to invite them over to my house for the evening. Look how your sister treats me, Gavrila Ardalionovitch." For some moments Gania stood as if stunned or struck by lightning after his sister's speech. But seeing that Nastasia Philipovna was really about to leave the room this time, he sprang at Varia and seized her by the arm like a madman. "What have you done?" he hissed, glaring at her as though he would like to annihilate her on the spot. He was quite beside himself, and could hardly articulate his words for rage. "What have I done? Where are you dragging me to? Do you wish me to beg pardon of this creature because she has come here to insult our mother and disgrace the whole household, you low, base wretch?" cried Varia, looking back at her brother with proud defiance. A few moments passed as they stood there face to face, Gania still holding her wrist tightly. Varia struggled once, twice, to get free, then could restrain herself no longer, and spat in his face. "There's a girl for you!" cried Nastasia Philipovna. "Mr. Ptitsin, I congratulate you on your choice." Gania lost his head. Forgetful of everything, he aimed a blow at Varia, which would inevitably have laid her low, but suddenly another hand caught his. Between him and Varia stood the prince. "Enough! Enough!" said the latter with insistence, but all of a tremble with excitement. "Are you going to cross my path for ever, damn you?" cried Gania, and loosening his hold on Varia, he slapped the prince's face with all his force. Exclamations of horror arose on all sides. The prince grew pale as death. He gazed into Gania's eyes with a strange, wild, reproachful look. His lips trembled and vainly endeavoured to form some words. Then his mouth twisted into an incongruous smile. "Very well, never mind about me, but I shall not allow you to strike her," he said at last, quietly. Then suddenly he could bear it no longer, and covering his face with his hands, turned to the wall, and murmured in broken accents, "Oh, how ashamed you will be of this afterwards!" Gania certainly did look dreadfully abashed. Colia rushed up to comfort the prince, and after him crowded Varia, Rogojin and all, even the general. "It's nothing," said the prince, and again he wore the smile which was so inconsistent with the circumstances. "Yes, he will be ashamed," cried Rogojin. "You will be properly ashamed of yourself for having injured such a sheep." He could not find a better word. "Prince, my dear fellow, leave this and come away with me. I'll show you how Rogojin shows his affection for his friends." Nastasia Philipovna was also much impressed, both with Gania's action and with the prince's reply. Her usually thoughtful, pale face, which all this while had been so little in harmony with the jests and laughter which she had seemed to put on for the occasion, was now evidently agitated by new feelings, though she tried to conceal the fact, and to look as though she were as ready as ever for jesting and irony. "I really think I must have seen him somewhere," she murmured seriously enough. "Oh, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Aren't you ashamed? Are you really the sort of woman you are trying to represent yourself to be? Is it possible?" The prince was now addressing Nastasia in a tone of reproach, which evidently came from his very heart. Nastasia Philipovna looked surprised and smiled, but evidently concealed something beneath her smile, and with some confusion and a glance at Gania, she left the room. However, she had not reached the outer hall when she turned round, walked quickly up to Nina Alexandrovna, seized her hand and lifted it to her lips. "He guessed quite right. I am not that sort of woman," she whispered hurriedly, flushing red all over. Then she turned again and left the room so quickly that no one could imagine what she had come back for. All they saw was that she said something to Nina Alexandrovna in a hurried whisper, and seemed to kiss her hand. Varia, however, both saw and heard all, and watched Nastasia out of the room with an expression of wonder. Gania recollected himself in time to rush after her in order to show her out, but she had gone. He followed her to the stairs. "Don't come with me," she cried. "Au revoir till the evening. Do you hear? Au revoir." He returned thoughtful and confused. The riddle lay heavier than ever on his soul. He was troubled about the prince too, and so bewildered that he did not even observe Rogojin's rowdy band crowd past him and step on his toes at the door as they went out. They were all talking at once. Rogojin went ahead of the others, talking to Ptitsin, and apparently insisting vehemently upon something very important. "You've lost the game, Gania," he cried as he passed the latter.